Imagine the 4th of July, fireworks painting the sky, hot dogs sizzling on grills, and proud voices reciting tales of 1776, when a scrappy band of patriots defied a tyrant king to birth a nation of freedom. For most Americans, the Revolution is a sacred story etched in stone. A ragtag army of farmers and dreamers, armed with grit and muskets, toppling the mighty British Empire against all odds. But what if that's only the surface of a much darker, bloodier truth? What if the fight that forged the United States wasn't just a colonial uprising, but a brutal cog in a global war machine, a war where empires clashed, allies betrayed, and the fate of nations hung on battles fought oceans away? A stunning new exhibition at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C., rips the veil off this hidden saga, daring us to see the American Revolution for what it truly was. A savage chapter in a worldwide struggle that redefined power, profit, and the price of liberty. Titled The American Revolution, a World War, this isn't your grade school history lesson of Paul Revere's Ride or the Boston Tea Party. It's a gut-wrenching plunge into a sprawling epic, where Britain, France, Spain, the Dutch Republic, and far-off lands, from the Caribbean's pirate-haunted waters to the rocky heights of Gibraltar and the steaming jungles of India, collided in a relentless contest of ambition and survival. If this war hadn't spiraled into a global showdown, with foreign powers betting on our rebels, the stars and stripes might never have flown, says David K. Allison, curator, project director, and co-author of a forthcoming book, poised to shake the foundations of American lore. When the Revolution became a world stage, when cannons roared from Virginia to India, Britain had to decide, fight for us or save their empire elsewhere. They chose elsewhere. The war before the war. To grasp this seismic truth, step back to the 7 Years' War, 756 to 1763, known here as the French and Indian War. This wasn't some backwoods skirmish. It was a global brawl that set the stage for everything to come. Picture British redcoats and colonial militiamen hacking through Pennsylvania's wilderness, facing off against French soldiers and their native allies, while halfway around the world, fleets bombarded ports from Havana to Manila. Britain won big, its navy a juggernaut, its empire bloated with new territories. France and Spain, they limped away, humiliated, their maps redrawn in defeat. By 1775, when shots rang out at Concord, these bruised giants saw America's rebellion as their golden ticket to strike back. We were their weapon, Allison says, his voice low with the weight of it. France and Spain didn't care about our declaration. They wanted Britain's throat. France, draped in the silks of Versailles, shipped crates of muskets, barrels of powder, and regiments of soldiers to our shores, its king licking his lips at the thought of a humbled rival. Spain, with its conquistador legacy, piled in with gold and troops, dreaming of lost glories reclaimed. The Dutch Republic, a crafty trader with no love for monarchs, sneaked supplies, past British warships, their merchants counting coins with every delivery. This wasn't brotherhood. It was a cold alliance of vengeance. Britain, its redcoats bogged down in American mud, soon faced a nightmare, a war on multiple fronts, its treasury draining, its admirals pleading for a way out. By the late 1770s, London's war rooms buzzed with a grim realization. Holding on to these 13 colonies might cost them their grip on India's riches or the Caribbean's sugar gold mines. Liberty's price, power not principle. Strip away the poetry of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and what's left is raw, ugly truth. The American Revolution wasn't a shining crusade for democracy. It was a brutal slugfest over trade, territory, and who'd rule the world's markets. France didn't lose sleep over our town hall debates. It wanted Britain's shipping lanes crippled. Spain didn't cheer for our militias. It craved Gibraltar's return and its American empire intact. The Dutch just saw a chance to cash in. For these powers, backing our rebels was a calculated gamble. If America broke free, Britain would bleed and the spoils would flow to the winners. This war wasn't about us, Allison says, his words sharp as a bayonet. It was about them, about empires clawing for the top. The exhibition's soul lies in two haunting French paintings, The Siege of Yorktown and The Surrender of Yorktown, restored masterpieces by Louis Nicolas van Blarenberge that flipped the script on our national memory. You know, John Trumbull's The surrender of Lord Cornwallis, Washington and Lincoln front and center, basking in triumph at the Capitol. Van Blarenburg's take is a slap in the face. Americans are shadows on the edges, while French troops and ships dominate, their flags snapping like victory's heartbeat. It's not just art, it's evidence of a story we've buried. A story where our independence hinged on foreign steel, not just colonial courage. Yorktown, the day France saved America. October 1781, Virginia's tidewater. General Cornwallis digs in, his army battered, his eyes scanning the horizon for British sails. He's counting on a rescue fleet to pull him out of the fire. Then comes Admiral de Grasse, France's naval titan, his warships slicing through the Chesapeake, smashing Britain's hopes with cannon and iron. On land, General Rochambeau's French artillery hammers Cornwallis's lines, their precision dwarfing the ragged volleys of American militias. Cornwallis surrenders, not because our boys outfought him, but because France choked off his lifeline. Yorktown wasn't our victory alone, Allison admits almost reluctantly. Without France's navy, Spain's cash, and Dutch smuggling, we'd have been a British footnote. But the war didn't end at Yorktown's muddy surrender. Across the sea, France and Spain schemed to storm England's cliffs and blast Gibraltar into submission. Wild plans that crashed against Britain's stubborn defenses. Reeling, Britain shifted gears, eyeing India's vast wealth as the real prize. The revolution's final curtain didn't fall in 1781. It dropped in 1783 at Cuddalore, India, where British and French troops tore into each other under a merciless sun, fighting for colonial scraps while America nursed its newborn freedom. This wasn't just our war, it was the world's reckoning. The treaty that rewrote destiny. By 1783, the Treaty of Paris carved up the globe anew. Britain, its naval crown dented but unbroken, let us go. France strutted with restored pride. Spain clutched its colonies tighter, and the Dutch licked their wounds, their trade empire fading. The Smithsonian exhibition resurrects this chaos with relics that hum with history. A French cannon scarred from Yorktown's fury, a model of de Grasse's Ville de Paris riding the waves, and a weathered portrait of Washington by Charles Wilson Peale, a quiet nod to the uneasy alliance that birthed us. Lafayette's shine, Rochambeau's grit. We love the Marquis de Lafayette, our French poster boy, young and dashing, immortalized in songs and statues. But the exhibition cuts through the hype. His role was loud but light. The real hero was Rochambeau, the grizzled Frenchman, who turned Yorktown into Britain's graveyard. Lafayette's 1824 tour sealed his legend, plates, trinkets, and World War I pilots, in the Lafayette escadrille soaring for his memory. But Rochambeau's shadow looms larger, unsung. These artifacts whisper a deeper tale. Our freedom wasn't a gift from one man, but a debt to many. The revolution we don't talk about. John Adams saw it in 1784. The revolution was nearly the history of mankind. A sprawling drama of empires, not just a colonial spat. Yet our 19th century storytellers shrank it into a cozy myth of lone heroes, fueling the idea that America rose by its own bootstrap brilliance. This exhibition shatters that delusion. We've been kidding ourselves, Allison says, his voice heavy. We didn't win this war solo. We were forged in a furnace of global greed, native blood, and battles from Bunker Hill to Bombay. Without those foreign hands, we'd still be bowing to a king. The American Revolution, a World War, curated by David K. Allison, runs from June 26 to July 9, 2019, at the National Museum of American History. It's not just a look back. It's a mirror reflecting a nation born not in isolation, but in a crucible of sacrifice, betrayal, and a world at war.